Welcome back, YouTube. I have a fun video for you guys today. So as many of you guys know, I run a website, FFTCGauthority.com, and one of the most common questions that I get is, what is the rarest Final Fantasy TCG card? If I'm a collector, what are the cards I should be investing in? Can you help me out? I kind of want to build my collection. So I kind of have an article on that website already, but I kind of wanted to follow up with a video about it. So I'm going to go over the top 10, in my opinion, rarest and potentially most expensive Final Fantasy TCG cards that you can collect. So at number 10, for number 10, I'm kind of cheating because it's actually not going to be a single card, but I promise that the other 9 will be. So here I kind of have foil Wave 1 Legends as rank 10, and they're all kind of tied, although I will say that I believe that the ones that have the special abilities will be worth more, primarily because you can kind of easily distinguish them apart. Now, for the other ones like this, so this is a Wave 1 Shantoto, but it's really hard to see what the difference is between this and the Wave 2 reprint versions. You kind of have to go by the height of the crystal. The Wave 1 cards, the crystal height is higher. But that's really hard to tell sometimes, so I think that these will kind of be slightly lower value. In some of the other cards, it's a lot more obvious, like this one. You can see that the crystal here, the camera focuses, almost touches the top of the card. In the Wave 2 reprints, it'll be like a lot lower down here, so it's kind of centered. So at number 10, we have Wave 1 Foil Legends. Number 9, Cloud. So again, this is a Wave 1 Foil Legend, but I think Cloud deserves a spot of its own. Even with the reprints, it's worth $25 to $30. Cloud is always going to be one of the most popular characters. This is a legend rarity card. It's foil, and it just looks really cool. It's very iconic. You can see from the colon placement, all Wave 1 cards have the lower colon placement. The reprints, it'll be more centered. So you can tell that this is a first edition card. Now, if you know anything about like Pokemon or Magic the Gathering, the first prints are always worth a lot more money, even though they look almost identical to the reprints. Things like Pokemon Shadow List or Magic the Gathering's Alpha Beta Unlimited. So I think that this will definitely be a very valuable card going forward. Number 8, Dika Branf 30th Anniversary Promo Card. Now, this is kind of a special card because you can't actually get it in any pack. You can only get it if you attended one of the 30th Anniversary promotion events. That only happened once. Obviously, they can't have multiple 30th anniversaries. And I've heard some kind of anecdotal evidence that only 5,000 of these were printed. If anyone would like to confirm that for me, I'd be happy to hear about it. But in any case, this is definitely going to be one of the rarer cards out there. Currently, it's going to be a minimum of about $35 to pick it up on eBay. And I predict that if Final Fantasy TCG really takes off, this is going to be one of the most sought after cards out there. The other kind of prize promo cards are nowhere near as rare or exclusive, so I don't think those will really kind of hold value very well compared to something like this, where you can only get it from an event. And now we go to, what is that, number 7. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a graded version of this card yet. This is actually going to be a grading submission. But here we have a foil Wave 1 Black Belt. Now, this is just a common card, so why would this be worth money in the future? Well, it's because if you know anything about Wave 1, there's only 6 cards that had significant changes between Wave 1 and the reprints. So this, you'll see that it says blocked forward. That doesn't seem very important, but if you have a Wave 2 version, look at your card and it's going to say blocking. They actually changed that in all the reprints. So this is a very easy way to tell if you have a Wave 1 black belt or a reprint black belt. So I think that as a foil errata, this is going to kind of hold its value really well going forward. On that same note, we have number 6, Golem. Golem kind of has the exact same change. You're going to notice that says, if it is blocked. All the reprints say, if it is blocking. So again, Wave 1 Errata, a lot of people know about it, and I think all the collectors are going to go crazy trying to find these things. In fact, these are actually harder to find than some of the more rarer cards just because no one notices the difference and they don't kind of sell them. So you can buy like a regular Golem foil on TCG Play or something. You might even get a Wave 1 version just from sheer chance, just because people aren't paying attention. But I wouldn't bank on it, especially not anymore. Anyone who has Wave 1 versions are pretty much holding on to them. And we arrive at number 5, Riku. Again, this is a Wave 1 Errata. You're going to notice here that it says owner apostrophe S hands. In the reprints, it'll say owners apostrophe hands, so it's plural. The only reason this is rarer than the other cards that I mentioned before is because it's a rare card. It's a R rarity. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it's any more special than those. In fact, I'll kind of discuss later how the total print run's probably exactly the same. But again, this is a rare Wave 1 Errata, so I think this is going to be one of the most sought after cards. And now we get to number 4, the only legend rarity Wave 1 Errata. Exactly the same as a Riku. It changed the owner apostrophe S hands to owner's hands in the reprints. So as a legend Errata, I think this will have a little bit more value than the other 3. Now, talking about the print runs, this is something that probably you guys don't know. For Opus 1, or even in all the future reprints, but Opus 1 had exactly, I think, 216 cards. If you buy a case of 6 booster boxes, it guarantees a foil set. Now, what can we kind of figure out from that? We can figure out that if it guarantees a foil set, and it's only 1 foil per booster pack, then every single booster pack in a case must have a different foil. And they sell them by the case, so it basically means that every single card in Opus 1 has 1 foil per case, regardless of rarity. So from that, you can kind of figure out that whether it's a legend, rare, common, hero, whatever, it's going to only have the exact same number of cards in circulation. So if there's 10,000 of these in circulation, there's 10,000 of these common black belts in circulation too. So that's something that most people probably don't know. The rarity of the card doesn't necessarily mean that there's less of them in circulation. It just means that it's cooler or more powerful, really. Now, this is only for the foil versions. For the non-foil versions, the legends are definitely more limited than the whatever the lower, like commons or uncommons or whatever it is. But for the foils for Opus 1, they're all 1-to-1 pretty much, because if you bought a case, you got a full set. So that's the only way it makes sense. Anyways, let's move on to number 3, and this is one of my favorites. So here we have Ramza from Final Fantasy Tactics, and if you have a Wave 2 version, I suggest that you check out your card, and you'll notice that the picture of Ramza in your card will be reversed. Now, why would they bother doing something silly like that? It's because if you look at this picture, it looks like he's cutting off his own neck, right? Apparently, obviously, Final Fantasy is Japanese, and apparently that had some kind of negative connotations in Japanese culture. So because of that, they had to kind of reverse the image. And it also happens to have a special ability, making it even easier to tell that it's Wave 1. Now, even though it's just a common, I think that kind of backstory makes it a really desirable card. Anytime a card kind of has like a cool backstory for why it changed, it kind of affects the value a little bit. I can tell you for sure that this is more sought after than something like this, even though there's probably the exact same number in circulation, exact same rarity. But this one on eBay, if you want, it's going to probably be over $100 already. If you dig through forums, you could probably get it for as low as 50 maybe. But for all the people I know kind of buying these, they're holding on to them. Now that's a good segue into number 2, because it kind of has the exact same story behind it. Again, it looks like he's cutting his own head off. In the Wave 2 reprints, they reversed the image so it doesn't look like that. The only reason this ranks higher is because, of course, it's an R rarity card. And also Squall is just a cooler character in general than Ramza, because he's in a numbered Final Fantasy game, even though Tactics is my favorite Final Fantasy game of all time. Now, this is actually a really nice looking card. If you want to pick this up on eBay, it's already like $500, although I don't think anyone's paying that much for that. If you look on the forum, sometimes people let them go for $50 to $100, but I've even offered a guy like $100 before for this, and he said no way. So this is definitely a really popular card that collectors are really trying to get their hands on. If you can get your hands on one of these for anything under $50, I suggest you jump on it right away. Hell, I'll buy it from you if you do. And now let's go to number 1, and this one should come as no surprise to any of you. The Cloud A001 card. I've even heard some people refer to this as the Black Lotus of Final Fantasy TCG. I wouldn't go that far, but it definitely has a lot of cool features that kind of give it a good story. Number 1, it's the only card currently that has the A prefix. They're coming out with an A002 soon, but in 2 years, this was the only card with an A prefix. It was also the only card that was printed horizontally instead of vertically. It's also the only card that isn't playable at all. It's just, the description is just like a promotional link to their website and has a QR code. It even has this kind of promotion badge there. So this card is completely unplayable. It's meant purely for advertising. And the other thing is, it was only available to you if you attended the initial Final Fantasy TCG launch event. Now, 2 years ago, I didn't even know this game existed, and I'm sure many of you didn't as well. So not that many people really knew about this game at the time, and probably a lot of people that they gave this to probably even threw them in the trash. That's what usually happens when, companies give stuff away. Like, they just think it's swag and throw it in the trash if they don't think it's going to have value. So I have no idea how many of these are in circulation, but I can already tell you that people are kind of struggling to get their hands on them, unless they're, paying an exorbitant amount of money. Currently, you could probably get an English one for still around $80 to $100. If you are okay with it in other languages like Italian or Japanese or something, you might get it as low as maybe $30. But for the English versions, you're going to have to shell out at least like $70 for it. So I think that this one is definitely going to continue to go up in value, unless, of course, Final Fantasy TCG just crashes and burns, in which case all of this will be worth absolutely nothing. But hopefully that doesn't happen, right? All right, so I organized these cards so we can kind of do a recap real quick. So at 10th place, we have any foil Wave 1 Legend. 9th place, we have foil Wave 1 Cloud. 8th place, we have Gabran 30th Anniversary Promo Edition. At 7th place, we have this Lonely Non-Graded Black Belt Wave 1 Errata. In 6th place, we have the Wave 1 Errata Golem. In 5th place, we have the Wave 1 Errata Riku. 4th place, the Wave 1 Errata Balafor. 3rd place, the Wave 1 Errata Ramza with the switched image. 2nd place, the Wave 1 Errata Squall with the flipped image. And in 1st place, the Cloud A001 card. So like I said, I think that these cards are going to go up in value. Final Fantasy TCG was extremely popular in Japan in the chapters set until Square Enix decided we want one set for the whole world and kind of did a reprint as the Opus thing. I don't think they'll do that again now that they kind of have a global edition. But with that said, if you're like an investor or a speculator, I would still stick with Pokemon or MTG. I did this mainly because I love Final Fantasy. I love collecting the cards. Even if they don't go up in value, I would love to have these. Although I do kind of collect extras in case that they do end up being worth a lot of money so that I can kind of resell them one day. But really, if they don't go up in value at all, I still don't care. I think it's a cool collection to have, especially if you're a big Final Fantasy fan. And I found that with Final Fantasy especially, there's just as many collectors of the card game as there are players. That's kind of a trait it shares with something like Pokemon, where I'm sure that anyone over 25 has probably owned a few Pokemon cards in their life. I'd say less than 10% of those people have actually played the game. I think that's going to hold true for Final Fantasy as well. Whereas some games like Magic the Gathering, no one's really going to buy Magic the Gathering cards unless they love the card game and actually want to play it. In its defense, it is a really fun card game, so if you guys have ever tried it, feel free to. But anyways, I think that kind of sums this video up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the section below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, feel free to subscribe and shoot me a message asking for what you want my next video to be about. Anyways, that about sums it up. Thank you for watching and have a great day, guys.